Good morning, my friends, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Today I have a special Irish folktale to read to you by one of my very favorite authors, Tomie De Paola. I have had the pleasure of meeting Tomie on a couple occasions, and this book is very special to me because he actually inscribed and signed it especially for me. So I'm excited to share this with you today. The name of the story is Finn McCool, the Giant of Knockmany Hill. Finn McCool is a legend in Irish folk tales. There are lots of stories about him. I'm sure you'll enjoy his escapades. In olden times, when Ireland's glens and woods were still full of fairies and leprechauns, giants too lived on that fair Emerald Isle. One of the finest of those folks, the big folks, was Finn McCool, who was wed to the lovely lass, Una. They made their home at the top of Knockmany Hill. And here's Finn and his lovely giant wife, Una. Now, as any good giant, Finn McCool had his work to do too, so he was often away from home. Lovely Una didn't seem to mind, for there was plenty of work to keep her busy, spinning, knitting, and even giving a pretty touch to their great house. Here's Una spinning wool. Life was very pleasant indeed. One morning, when Finn McCool was busy working with his kin building a causeway to Scotland, the word came that Cuchulainn was coming. And here's Cuchulainn, not looking very happy. Cuchulainn was a giant too, and without a doubt the strongest in that part of the world. When he walked, the very earth trembled, and with one blow of his fist, he had flattened a thunderbolt so it looked like a pancake. He was so proud of that feat that he kept the thunderbolt in his pocket just to show everyone how strong he was. That's his flattened thunderbolt. Every giant in Ireland had been given a good beating by Cuchulainn. Every giant, that is, except for Finn McCool. And Cuchulainn swore by the green he would never rest, day or night, winter or summer, until Finn McCool was added to his list. He was not a very nice fella. So far, Finn had been smart enough. He kept moving about whenever he heard that Cuchulainn was in the neighborhood. But this time, Cuchulainn was sure to get him. So Finn left the causeway and sped off for Knockmany Hill, to his house and his darling Una. There he goes. Finn, me love, said Una, greeting him at the door, what brings you home so early from your work? The chance to get a sight of you, my sweet thing, he said. Since he was as honest as the summer day was long, he added, and to keep out of the way of Cuchulainn. He's after me. Una soothed her husband. She brought him his slippers and lit a pipe for him. She stirred up the peat fire so it would be cozy. Then she set down a huge mug of stout and a giant slab of soda bread for her dearie. Finn, husband of mine, enough is enough, said Una, as gently as she could. For years you've been hiking around from one place to another to avoid this Cuchulainn. Poor Finn, he looked sad. Why, you even built our house high on this windiest of hills so you'd be able to spy him coming. You'll not get a moment's rest until you stand fast and face him. I'll be getting plenty of rest if I stand fast and he knocks me down. I don't have the heart to face a man who can make a young earthquake just with his walk and who carries around a flattened thunderbolt in his pocket just to prove how strong he is. At that, Knockmany Hill gave a little dance. He's coming, said Finn. His face turned a fine shade of pale green. Oh, hush, said Una. Don't give me time to think. Don't you worry that I won't do all I can to help you settle this matter once and for all. Una then worked her charm. The fairies had taught her. She took 9 woolen threads, each a different color, and braided them into 3 braids. She put one around her right arm, one circling her heart, and the third around her right ankle. She knew now that anything she did, she would not fail. And there's the 3 fairies And she's doing her little magic with her yarn. Next, she sent around to all the neighbors to borrow 1 in 20 iron frying pans. She hid them 1 in 20 loaves of bread, and that she baked on the fire in her usual way. She set them in the cupboard with some bread that she had baked the day before. Then she took a pot of milk and made it into fresh cheese and put it along with some white stones at the foot of the cradle she had made up. I think Una has a plan. Look at all the bread she's making and all the cheese she's making. Interesting. Now, my darling, she said, handing Finn some baby clothes, put these on and do everything just as I am about to tell you. And remember, she said at the last, Cuchullin's strength lies in the brass finger he has on his right hand. Now quick, into the cradle, because I hear that man mountain at the door. So she had her husband Finn dress up like a baby and climb into a cradle. What is her plan? All right, woman, bellowed the giant at the door. Where's that coward Finn McCool? I've been chasing him all this time. Well, well, said Una in her sweetest smile. There's Cuchullin at the door. Now, isn't that a shame? Finn was off working on the causeway when some important family affair called him away. But he'll be home by tea time, so why don't you just come in and sit down? Poor Finn trembled in the cradle. I think he was scared. See this, Cuchullin said, pulling what looked like a pancake out of his pocket. This was a thunderbolt. I caught it and I flattened it. And that's what I'm going to do to Finn McCool, too, said Una. This may not be easy as you think. Finn McCool's a big broth of a man. Why, take a look at our little baby. You might be getting an idea of the strength of Finn himself. Cuchullin peeked inside the cradle. Chirrup, said the big baby, looking at him. My, said Cuchullin, what a big boy. While you're waiting, why not you have a bite to eat, said Una. She put some loaves of bread on the table, along with a can or two of butter and a pile of cabbage. Cuchullin, who was much of a glutton as he was a bully, popped a loaf into his mouth. He took a huge bite right on top of the frying pan. Clang! Yow! said Cuchullin. What kind of devil's bread is this? And here are my 2 teeth that have fallen out. He bit into the frying pan. That's Finn's bread. It's the only kind he eats, said Una. Is it a bit too tough for you? Too tough for me? I should say not. Give me another. Cuchullin chomped into another loaf and into a frying pan. I'll not have a tooth left in my mouth, woman. There's 2 more out. Cuchullin howled even louder. The baby began to holler too. Hungry, hungry, hungry. Oh, sweet dumpling, said Una. She handed baby Finn a loaf, and because there was no frying pan in it, Finn ate it right down. More, said the baby, and he gobbled up another loaf. He's a strong lad, said Cuchullin, getting a little bit worried. If this was the baby, the father must indeed be a bit stronger than Cuchullin thought. Ah, yes, said Una. Why, instead of dollies, he loves to play with those white stones here in his cradle. Show the nice man, baby dear. Finn did as he was told. He picked up a stone, that was really cheese, and squeezed all the water out of it and popped it into his mouth and ate it down. Cuchullin was not to be outdone by a baby. He grabbed a stone and squeezed. He squeezed and he squeezed. Squeezed as he might, he couldn't get 1 drop of water out of it. He popped it into his mouth, and with a chomp, there went the rest of his teeth. The howl that came out of him almost broke all the windows, and when he finally calmed down, Cuchullin said to Una, What kind of teeth does that lad have? They must be made of iron. Let me see your chompers, baby. And at that, Finn opened his mouth wide, and Cuchullin stuck his brass finger, the very brass finger that was the secret of his strength. And with a strong bite, Finn McCool bit the brass finger right off. Then up Finn leapt and began to pound the daylights out of poor, weak Cucullin. And that was that. Out the door went Cucullin, never to bother anyone, let alone Finn McCool again. "Tea's ready, my love," said Una, and Finn McCool sat down with the best giant wife in the whole world, and they lived a long, happy life together. I hope you enjoyed our story. As you see, we had a little visitor today with us, and I'm wishing you all happy St. Patrick's Day, good health, and we'll see you tomorrow.